One Zambia, One Nation, and thanks for joining us on Zanis News. To present, my name is Juliet Mtele. Top stories in the news tonight. Hippo terrorizes Milenge communities. Kasanshi mine records increased criminal activities. Plus, stakeholders honor Kenneth Kaunda. Zanis News in detail. President Hakainde Hichilema has challenged ministers and senior government officials to reflect on why they were placed into office and ensure they deliver to the expectation of the Zambian people. President Hichilema says senior officials have been given positions in order to retain the trust of these citizens. Speaking during the Presidential Delivery Unit Leadership Workshop held in Lusaka today, President Hichilema observed a number of gaps in various ministries while employing the current office bearers to change their work culture and improve on service delivery. Details in this report.
President Hakainde Hichilema last month established a presidential delivery unit in an effort to accelerate the implementation of high-priority government programs and projects. Following a series of meetings with the government officials, a workshop was held to come up with a consensus on the agreed interventions.
The presidential priorities are a call to action for all of us as we all share a common destiny. These include to strengthen our economy, to create jobs and opportunities for all our citizens, to ensure energy sufficiency and accessibility for all, to be food secure as a nation.
President Hakainde Hichilema graced the event with a message for the ministers and permanent secretaries.
This trust must be retained with delivery. Ask yourselves the same question. There are many people, 20 million citizens, thereabouts, I believe. Census tells us 19.6. Please, that's a discussion for another day. But I believe we're 20 million. Ask yourself the question, we who are seated here, Secretary of the Cabinet, Deputy, to justify to sit in those chairs. Are you working for the people that made you sit in those chairs? Am I doing that?
President Hichilema observed some gaps in service delivery that require urgent interventions.
Report for work. We are going for work. Tea, coffee, 18 hours or 17 hours, not give up time. No. No. That's why we're here. To deliver in our space, lands. When you are nodding, you should ask a question. Why have we removed your commission lands? Relax. I'm asking a simple question. Why?
And the president wants to see ministers, permanent secretaries, and other senior government officials working together towards achieving government's vision through improved service delivery.
We must accept to work with each other. Teamwork, coordination, efficiency. Especially you younger PSs, you have an opportunity to make a change. But I hear you now create friendships amongst Director A, Director B, those who know how to reward you properly when you travel. Those have become your friends now. The directors that are reminding you that there is work to be done are not good directors. That's not right.
Bupa Sendo for Zanis News in Lusaka.
Zambia and Angola have joined forces in the malaria elimination fight with enhanced surveillance in the border districts of Shangombo in Zambia and Rivongo in Angola. And Shangombo District Commissioner Mobita Siamana says funding gaps remain a contributing factor to the declining progress in countries with the highest burden of malaria. Kashweka Sakaimbo now reports.
The high malaria burden of the Southern African region is said to be threatening the lives and livelihoods of its people, since the region is the largest transfrontier park in Southern Africa. It is for this reason that Zambia and Angola, through the Angola-Zambia-Angozam Cross-Border Malaria Control Initiative, which is supported by Isdale Flowers, commemorated this year's Malaria Day in Rivungu, Angola, with the aim of attaining a joint malaria elimination in the two countries.
It is the wish of the two governments, Zambia, Angola and Zambia, to join others that have eliminated malaria. Zambia is committed to enhancing international cooperations and relations. As demonstrated by our President, Mr. Hakainde Hichilema, our country will continue to be an active member of regional and international bodies.
District Administrator for Rivungu District of Angola, in a speech read on his behalf by his deputy, calls for greater engagement, dynamism and commitment in the malaria fight.
Sendo dois países irmãos.
Recently, Angola and Zambia signed in Lusaka another legal instrument that marks the strengthening of bilateral cooperation between the two states through memorandum of understanding on cooperation in the field of health aimed at job creation for officials in these specialty ministry departments.
Chief Environmental Health Officer Emmanuel Piri says this is the beginning of more cooperations.
Malaria knows no borders, it doesn't know any boundaries. Therefore, there's a reason to cooperate so that we are able to conquer this disease.
The district commissioner and his Angolan counterpart take time to tour the malaria test and treat stands to appreciate the efforts in the malaria fight in both countries.
Kasuka Sakaimbo reporting, Rivungu, Angola.
And also in the news, government has taken a swift response to combat an outbreak of rabies in Isoka district in Muchinga province, where 15 people contracted the disease after being bitten by affected dogs. And government has dispatched 2,500 doses of vaccines to start a mass dog vaccination against rabies. Details in this report.
Dogs are considered as human best friend, but if not nurtured properly, can be fatal. As such, pets need to be vaccinated with anti-rabies vaccines at all times to avoid the rabies outbreaks. Isoka district in Mchinga province on 10th of April recorded rabies outbreak in its 14 wards. As such, the government responded positively by sending the free vaccines to the area. District Veterinary Officer Dr. Pomolopa gives us an update.
We've done 1,750 dogs out of the centers that we earmarked to carry out these vaccinations.
Zanis News crew also took an on-spot check in various centers set for the vaccination drive and found veterinary staff busy inoculating dogs. What do dog owners say?
Kaditwadipiranga pakula sisimbwa nomba pampindio o tusakudipira tukusadifya nkanini uteko ponga na veti tukuwasadifya.
And Dr. Mlopa cautions dog owners who will fail to vaccinate their dogs to blame nobody but themselves when their dogs will be controlled.
Dogs that don't have places where they stay. So we are appealing to those dog owners to take this exercise seriously.
He added that it's very expensive to buy vaccines to administer to the patient of dog bites, as it costs about 1,500 kwacha for a full dose. 15 Isoka residents suffered dog bites within 15 days this month alone. Fred Piri, Zanis News, Isoka, Muchinga Province.
In Wapula Province, a hippopotamus has invaded some communities in Milenga District, causing residents to live in fear. The Department of National Parks and Wildlife Provincial Senior Warden Agnes Shawa says the department is doing everything within their power to ensure the community is out of danger. She said the hippo first invaded maize and cassava fields in the area in February 2023, leaving a trail of destruction. Mrs. Shawa has further disclosed that the hippo recently hit a boat with 5 people on board on Wela River. Mrs. Shawa said officers are still on the lookout and have assured the community of safety. In Northwestern Province, Kansashi Mine Risk and Asset Management Manager Francois Peacock says criminal activities around the mining area have reached an alarming level, with over 2,000 attacks recorded in 2022. Mr. Peacock said this during an engagement with Minister of Home Affairs and Internal Security Jack Mwimbu. More details in this report by Jennifer Mutoshi.
The investment is under threat from criminal activities taking place around and within the mining company. Kansanshi Mine has called on the Minister of Home Affairs and Internal Security to arrest the situation.
We see more and more influx of criminal syndicates and jeribos from Copperbelt moving into Solwezi. For January to December last year, we had just over 2,400 incursions and intrusions into the mine lease.
The minister assures the mine of investment security from government.
We are going to ensure that a team is constituted involving various security wings of government to protect the investment and the revenue that is supposed to be generated from this facility. I'm also happy to note that the mining management has offered to build a police station at the periphery of this facility.
Meanwhile, Kansanshi General Manager Anthony Muktuma is grateful to the government for the continued support.
And I'd like to pay special thanks to yourself for the visit to the mine and for the commitment that we will make sure that the investment is secure and that security is enhanced. In terms of the support that we've got out of government so far, in terms of making sure the investment does happen, we believe that that support will continue in making sure that once the investment is made, that it's secured as well.
Reporting for Zanis News in Solwezi District, Jennifer Mtoshi.
The Ministry of Information and Media Permanent Secretary Kennedy Kalunga says government will support initiatives that ignite workable policies for the media to thrive in Zambia. Mr. Kalunga says that government is happy and ready to partner with stakeholders in ensuring that media rights and laws are upheld, especially in the work of the changing digital era. And PS has appreciated that while the media has been faced with various constraints that sometimes derail progress in their line of duty, such as political and economic risks, change in technology, as well as social media variances, policies that guide media ethics have often helped in proper dissemination of information. Zanis reports that Mr. Kalunga made these remarks when he officiated at a media workshop that the University of Zambia Institute of Economic and Social Research has organized on the state of journalism, risk and uncertainty in a changing mediascape in Zambia. And the permanent secretary, who was represented by the ministry's director for human resource and administration, Gritson Chipalo, has encouraged most stakeholders to come on board in rendering similar solutions that help maintain a professional media in the country. He charged that journalists often face a lot of uncertainties, especially in the changing media globe, adding that with proper policy implementation put in place, traditional media will continue to thrive in the country.
The ministry and the government in general stands ready to support this initiative and also to work with the University of Zambia and other stakeholders to ensure that the resolutions of this important workshop or dissemination of research findings are taken into account and become part of policy as we refine our policies at the Ministry of Information and Media. The changing digital environment has brought about new risks critical to journalism's future. For instance, the rise of social media and other new platforms have created networked news ecosystem that gives opportunity for non-mainstream news actors to bypass mainstream media and to address audiences directly.
Journalists and news organizations in Zambia and around the world are confronted with very different problems, crises if you like, and among these are crises that are characterized by risks of journalism itself, risks to media institutions and journalists, and the source of some of these risks are usually interrelated and mainly come from politics, economy, technology, and culture. And usually they manifest themselves in several consequences for media houses, for the development of our information culture in the country. They have consequences on journalists themselves in terms of how they carry out their work.
We now join Luwasim Tafela from Eastern Province as she visits Kamoto village, where Dr. Kaunda frequented to visit the late former First Lady Betty Kaunda's family. She talked to former freedom fighter Galatian Nondo, who shared experiences during the freedom struggle waged by the late Dr. Kaunda. Let's take a look.
Mfowe in Eastern Province remains synonymous with the first Republican President Dr. Kenneth Kaunda's major pronouncements, especially with reshuffles to his then cabinet and other government positions. We traveled to Mfowe to trace the footprints of the founding father of the nation, and our first stop was at Mambwe. Here lies the little known about but a significant historical house where Betty Kaunda lived, and this house is within Kamoto village where the former First Lady hailed from. Dr. Kaunda frequented this house.
Ndematenzo nkala so nabula bamangira hapa ndepanezo akaunda bevilenzo bwera ku maningi abwera bona pongozi wao hapa bakabwera baenda stumo babwera benzo bwera maningi kuna na bana na bebe na wakazi.
In Mfowe, chichele and mushroom lodges were then popular with Dr. Kaunda's working visits, although privatization took away the facilities.
Mfowe as a place where our first Republican president liked very much. For his private time spending, he would come to Mfowe. That's where big announcements pertaining to reshuffles, promotions, anything, he used to spend his time there. Privatization came in. That's when we lost the chance to preserve Chichele Lodge as a historic place.
Galatiana Nondo was not only a family friend to the Kaundas, but was the first unique provincial chair lady for Eastern Province. She now recalls her days with Dr. Kaunda.
Anali mzungu wakomesa msonko kumuntu ingati itatu angakale lomba kuti kuwere kuchitika msonko sunga pezeke mwezi kitewere siki asonke ga wakoma chete ga wakoma msonko ga wakoma kawerewere misonko ingati itatu so lombate zo dandaula seta wantu misonko analume maso obutika niye pi kulira ndale lomba.
Luwasim Tafela for Zanis in Mambwe district.
From Southern Province in Chimunya-Nalumpa reports that Livingstone City Mayor Constance Mukelebai says Dr. Kaunda will be remembered for the establishment of Zambia's first motor assembly plant in Livingstone that left behind massive infrastructure development in the city. Ms. Mukelebai has also pledged to keep the city of Livingstone clean in remembrance of Dr. Kaunda.
He was a gallant leader who left an indelible mark in the lives of many. Late first Republican President Dr. David Kenneth Kaunda is remembered differently by people across sections of society. For Livingstone Mayor Constance Mleabai, the people of Livingstone remember KK for promoting clean cities through humanism activities, a legacy the city is eager to uphold.
I remember the times when we were little and we would have a humanism week, keep Livingstone clean. We as Livingstonian, we intend to keep the momentum and keep the city clean just to remember him and do a few things that he used to like. He used to like to see cleanliness. He used to like to see kids going into school. And of course, the new Dawn government has come in with a free education, which he also initiated.
KK's contribution to the growth of the tourism sector, as well as the establishment of textile industries back then, cannot be ignored.
As we are remembering the president, the first Republican president, through his works of textiles, and I believe the first suit he wore, the safari suit, was actually manufactured and made in Livingstone. So we want to see such development, and Livingstone as a city is open to new investors that want to come here to invest in the hospitality industry, in textiles, in motor assemblies. They just need to come and knock on our doors, which are open.
Pemba-based senior citizen John Chijaka also remembers KK in his own way.
The late Kaunda, this man played the greatest role in the liberation of this country. He was the first person who started uniting the tribes. We had a lot of problems on tribal reflections. Now, Kaunda, when he was made president, he did not count who was Tonga, who was Lozi, who was Hina. He never counted that. There were a few people within Kaunda unit who were practicing the tribalism, but for Kaunda, no. Because Kaunda used to judge a person through merit.
As a politician, KK also made positive impact in the lives of people.
Kaunda, I want to remember him also because when I was a councillor, he sent me to the President Citizenship College in Kabuge. That college, which it was first for politicians, so that I had passed with those marks. He said he was going to send me again to Relay, to go and learn other theories. So I went to Relay to learn other theories. After learning other theories in Relay, then when I came back here, I was sent to Moscow. So I was in the Soviet Union for 8 months learning politics.
Munyana Lumpa, Zanis, in Choma, Southern Province.
And Jonathan Mokuka reports that veteran politician and former diplomat Vernon Mwanga has described late Dr. Kaunda as a great leader who shaped the country in terms of foreign service and economic growth. Dr. Mwanga was first appointed in foreign service at the age of 21.
At independence in 1964, Vernon Mwanga was the youngest civil servant to be sent into foreign service. At the age of 21, Dr. Mwanga, a veteran politician, became Zambia's first diplomat as Deputy High Commissioner in London in 1964.
I remember when I was appointed by KK, I was called by KK and said, "Oh, congratulations, young man, you are the new Deputy High Commissioner to the United Kingdom."
Dr. Mwanga says first Republican President Kenneth David Kaunda believed in the young people.
Dr. Kaunda was very keen that he should bring up young men and women to rise to positions of responsibility because he foresaw that there would be a generational change.
Dr. Mwanga says Dr. Kaunda would be remembered as the president who shaped the country in various sectors of the economy, including other areas such as foreign service.
He served, as you probably know, for 27 years as head of state. 27 years is not a short time. And he shaped the country, whether it was the foreign service, whether it was the economy. And one of his priorities, by the way, was education.
Dr. Mwanga, a veteran politician and former diplomat, was speaking in an exclusive interview with Zanis in Lusaka ahead of KK Day commemoration, which falls tomorrow, April 28. Dr. Kaunda, who died on 17th June 2021, aged 97, was first Republican president who ruled the country from 1964 to 1991, when his United National Independence Party, UNIP, was beaten in the first ever multi-party elections that ushered in union leader Frederick Titus Chiluba. Jonathan reporting for Zanis News in Lusaka.
And finally in the news, Mansa Freedom Fighters Association chairperson Cyprian Mulonda has challenged youth to take the free education policy seriously. Mr. Mulonda recalls that the concept of free education was also introduced by the late Republican President Kenneth Kaunda after Zambia attained its independence in 1964. Here are the details.
After Zambia attained its independence from British colonial rule in 1964, the UNIP government under Zambia's founding father, Dr. Kenneth Kaunda, introduced free education. In attaining quality education, the UPND government, led by President Hakainde Hichilema, has reintroduced free education from grade 1 to 12, skills development, and student bursaries at tertiary level. And in remembering KK Day, which falls on April 28, Mansa Freedom Fighters Association chairperson Cyprian Mulonda has encouraged the youth to take advantage of the free education policy.
Weba lumendo ifi ba president ba dipoinonsa wa HH babo ishange ifyo Kaunda chiti ababonse mulemo naba abasambire muri Kaunda mu free education kanshire ndimo balebomba bwino nangu abakitari retire balisambire ifyo bwino kulingana n'ifyo banomba mweba nomba mwashuka mupose ko fyamano ngefi aposereko abakalamba benu muri UNIP.
Meanwhile, at Mansa Trades Training Institute, Luapula Principal Education Standards Officer Andrew Chipiri has urged the ICOF JRZ-sponsored students to take education seriously.
Free education was there before in UNIP government, and it ended in 1986, term 2, term 1. When we were going to secondary schools in term 2, we were made to pay. That time it was 100 kwacha per term, and a lot of people stopped schools. So for the New Dawn government to have brought back the free education, we need to appreciate the government.
And ICOF JRZ Luapula coordinator Dr. Gideon Mwetwa says the free education policy has given an opportunity to every youth.
These students that you are seeing, they are putting on smiles on their faces. Their dream today has come true. They are those of some of the students who didn't know that one day they'll find themselves on a desk or on a chair. Now, because of the policies of New Dawn government, which are second from none, today they are seated there.
Chipiri Makasa, Zanis, Mansa District.
As we end the news, we take a look at the stories that made headlines. Hippo terrorizes Milenge communities. Kansanshi mine records increased criminal activities. Plus, stakeholders honor Kenneth Kaunda. Thank you so much for staying with us. Remember, we are one Zambia, one nation. On behalf of the entire Zanis production team, my name is Juliet Ntale saying bye-bye.